Okay, so we're going to talk about supination. I think I'm going to use Kira's right foot, and we're going to talk about, I think, 4 positions in this kind of part 1 of the series, all right? And it's all to do with the pelvis and getting the pelvis to move and getting a reaction at the foot. So we know what supination is and what it isn't. Kira, if you just completely rotate your pelvis to me, so turn it right, keep going, keep going, keep going. If she just gets sloppy with it, she'll lose the inside of the foot. So it's to a certain point, okay? It's probably a less rotation in all these exercises than you actually feel like you need, but it does depend on your body. So we're going to start from standing. We'll then move into a kneeling position, and then we'll kind of meet in the middle with a couple of standing positions on a bent knee, all right? So all Kira's going to do is put her hands on her hips, yeah? And can you rotate your pelvis to the right nice and gently, please, and her body comes with it, okay? So what you should hopefully feel is that you should feel in your body, or you should see her right foot supinates and her left foot pronates a bit. I'm not asking her to exaggerate that or anything. Then rotate back to the middle, good, and then rotate to the right again, okay? So we're starting to cause a supination or a reaction into supination at this right foot, okay? Back to the middle. And again, so this is something that Gary Ward actually uses a lot, just a simple drill like this. Now, there's very little load involved back to the middle. You don't really need to hold it there. So you keep going. So there's very, very little load involved. It's very much just starting to teach the bones to move, all right? So this is very mechanical, very sensory. Actually, not even that sensory. It's just getting them bones to start to like the muscles under the arch to shorten a little bit, but more so just to open these joints at the top of the foot, okay? Now, what we really don't want is a couple of things. I don't want Kira to shift over onto her left leg and rotate now to the right. Keep your heel down, yeah? Because what you'll feel is that it's very hard for you to keep down the inside of this metatarsal, okay? So come back to the middle, and this is what a lot of people will do when they think they're training supination. They'll rotate to this side, but they'll shift away from the side they're rotating towards, and you should feel this in your own leg. It's very, very hard to keep this metatarsal head down, and you're not actually doing anything. You're just really inverting the entire foot, rolling onto the outside. So what you would need to do with you or your clients is, as you rotate, I don't need you to shift all your weight over here, and now turn. I don't need you to do that. I just need you to stay pretty centered between the 2 feet, or maybe slightly shifting over onto the right side. And now we're going to start to get some supination, and then she comes back. So turn and pause for me. The great thing with this is this turning kind of winds up a lot of tissues. So Kira doesn't really need to use muscle now to bring herself back. If you just let yourself go, you'll feel it brings you back there. So this is the drill, turning in, feeling that supination, feeling that metatarsal head staying on the floor, and then just let it go, okay? Now, if we want to bring this foot all the way from a more pronated state, more than it is here, into a fully supinated state, all we're going to do is rotate to this side, then let it go, but keep letting it turn to the left now, yeah? All the way around. So now we've started to supinate this foot, and we're more pronated here. Again, same rules apply. You can't lose the outside of the right foot, and then you're going to turn. So it's not a big muscular movement. It's a very much relaxed movement. Turning to the left, turning to the right. As she turns to the left, her right knee will slightly bend just naturally. As she turns to the right, her right knee will start to straighten. If you force that, you'll end up just arching your back a ton. So this is the first. Kira's losing the outside of her foot now. You're overdoing a little bit. So rotate, keep this down. Yeah, good. And then turn. You need to keep these 2 points down. Okay. So you'll start to feel that. All right. So that's the first way of getting some pelvis rotation, to drive rotation through the chain and down into the feet, all right? What some people will do who won't get any movement at the foot, you need to watch out for this, is can you like arch your back, yeah, drive your chest up to the sky and use your back muscles to rotate you. Yeah, so they'll lift and they'll pull, and you will run out of room very quickly, but what will happen is it will be almost impossible to keep your contacts on the floor, because this is just an orientation where it's your back muscles and your spine that's turning everything, and now that every single thing is moving as a chunk rather than kind of relative motions happening at the hip, the knee, and the foot. Okay, so really important. That's why I put people's hands on their pelvis so that they can feel this pelvis drives the rotation. So 2 more reps. And yes, the chest and head come along for the ride, but it's the pelvis that drives the rotation. This is a powerful little movement for people who never access supination. Not so much pronation, but definitely supination. This is a powerful one, okay? Second one, we're going to go down onto the floor. Can you kneel on your left knee with your right foot in front? Perfect. Kira doesn't know what she's doing in this video, by the way. I'm just talking her through it. So it's the same as I would kind of talk my client, although not the exact same. So all we're going to do is we'll figure out you might just step your right foot forward a tiny bit more. Yeah. Hands on the hips. Perfect. Rotate to the right. Good. And what I want you to feel and then come back to the middle. So you're going to rotate. It's the same movement as before, okay? But rotate again for me. Yeah, so what I need you to feel is don't feel this knee pulling back as you turn. So rotate, yeah, okay. So this is a nice way to get relative motion at the hip. You might feel your groin working a little bit there, but you feel like you've closed off that space in your adductors there, okay? So that's a nice way to get relative motion at the hip. But if you want to start to drive some supination at the foot, as you start to rotate, this knee starts to get kind of pulled back with it. Now, that's gone way too far because you've lost this. So now we need to find a middle ground between the two, okay? So you're going to rotate. That gently gets sucked back. Yeah, and now you start to feel this arch shorten a little bit, okay? And then let it go. So rotate. This kind of just happens with it, yeah? It doesn't really need to be exaggerated, but some people won't do that at all. So I don't want you to just turn. So just turn. That's fine if we're just talking about hip. And then let it go. Turn and let this go way too much. So there, no good at all. So nice middle ground, rotate in, and that just gets gently sucked back. Really important, if you lose the inside of the heel or this metatarsal, that's not supination, okay? And again, yeah, and you stay stacked with you're trying not to pull with your upper back or lower back. I can feel my back there. Yep, good. And again, so let's do 4 more reps. So turn. And what you'll see now is we're getting a negative shin angle being associated with supination, because that's what early supination is this negative shin angle where the knee is behind the ankle, okay? So this is a really nice movement. You're getting some nice hip stuff, you're getting some nice adductor stuff, and you're starting to get some gentle supination, and there's also a little bit of pronation as well, because she's starting to move into dorsiflexion a little bit. If we want to make it a little bit more like the last one, she will pull back in, then she'll rotate the pelvis that way, yeah, and then she'll pull back in. And it's just, again, so important that you keep your foot contacts. The more you try and make it bigger and bigger and bigger, the more you just lose that, and you just pull with your back, okay? Same with the scissor slides. It's a nice gentle shifting motion, yeah?
Can people
good.
hold on to something?
If people can hold on to whatever they want, yeah. It's all about just gentle shifting motions, and see how you lost it? Yeah. Good, so no more losing it, okay? Because that's what's going to happen, yeah? So you're much more limited up here if you're aware of what's happening here. Otherwise, it's just an orientation, everything moving together, okay? So there's the 2, that's the standing one, and then the supination here. And then if you stand up for me again, now we'll talk about kind of putting a little bit of load and going onto a bent knee. So pop your right foot forward a little bit for me, bring your weight in on top, yeah. Take your, bend this left knee a little bit as well, yeah. And now I want you to put your hands on your pelvis for me, and I want you to do a couple of rotations there now, okay? So drive the pelvis, yeah? And what I want you to feel is that you just get that small bit of supination here, okay? Yeah, so you're starting to get a little bit of load, exactly, you're rotating in, and you're starting to get this small bit of, this tibia should turn with it, yeah? Because we're talking about people with very flat feet, and actually, if you face the camera for me, please, Kieran, and put your right foot forward, where they'll come back this way, just in case you're not in the shot. Yeah, so where a lot of those people will start is, they'll square up to you, but their femur will be in like this. And I had a client yesterday that was like that, exactly like that. And I was trying to get him to hinge from that position. Can you rotate your pelvis to the right, but keep your femur in? And you feel like you get caught here, and now try and kind of do a little bit of a hinge there. Yeah, it's not going to feel particularly nice, okay? So what these type of people need to do is, yes, they need to get IR here at the hip, but as they turn, the femur needs to turn with it and the tibia needs to turn with it, and the pelvis can rotate to the right a little bit more, that's fine, but they can't end up trying to turn and the femur and the tibia get stuck in, okay? So we need to encourage a little bit of supination for them types of people, and then, yeah, so this is the drill, yeah, so let that turn with it, as long as you don't lose this, okay? So that femur is turned in, then it's going to turn out, and then the pelvis kind of, it lines up and the pelvis is able to rotate a bit more. From there, you can do a little hinge if you want. So you're going to turn. There, you've got your little bit of supination. I just saw it, and hopefully the camera can see it. And now you can do your normal hinge if you want. So, yeah, there, and then you can do your hinge, and then you can come out. Or you can just do your hinges there. But this is for people whose femur and tibia are driven in, and they'll try and rotate, and that won't follow it. And now they'll start to pick up a ton of tension in the TFL, and they might get pinched in the groin and all that stuff, okay? And then the last option then for that work is to do the same thing with the heel off the floor. So face the wall for me again. Yeah, you can do this leg, okay? So you're gonna load in, yeah? And nice crack for you. And then you're gonna take your left heel off the floor like a credit card distance, too high, yeah? And then do some rotations there again for me, yeah? So it's really important now. This gives you a chance to really get that rear foot. I don't need you to turn this way too much, yeah? So this gives you a chance to really get that rear foot to rotate. So when you turn, you need to think, can I get my tibia to rotate? But again, it's all about that first metatarsal, okay? So turning in that way.
Do I have all my weight on my front leg?
No, definitely not all your weight on your front leg. It's split between, we are trying to get some weight on your front leg, yeah? Okay, so now let's face the camera. Yep, and let's go into that position again. And you really need to think, so turn for me again, Kira. Yeah, and you'll feel how your whole foot wants to externally rotate. Good, so come back out again and do it again. And you'll feel how the whole foot kind of ERs. So we actually don't want to see that foot wanting to slide to the left at all. So I need this to stay pinned. And it's really feeling like the heel bone is the thing that rotates. There, you feel what I mean? Yeah, this tibia is what rotates, okay? So come back again, good, and move again. So this tibia is what rotates, okay? So we're going to get that heel to start to turn in the way without this turning out the way. So turning this heel in. There you go, you're starting to get that now, yeah? Good, and again, turning this heel in. I want the camera lads to be able to see the heel in here. Good. And again, 2 more. Yeah, you'll feel a lot of load through your ankle if you can keep your weight on it. Good. Yeah, heel turns in. Good, exactly. And this is, I actually really think this is what your left foot could use a lot of, okay? So that's the 4 options, just to start to get people to understand how to get the pelvis to connect with the foot. Because remember, we were talking about people with very flat feet, and when they rotate, they won't feel this reaction coming down through the chain for whatever reason. So we're going to start to help them understand that when I rotate a pelvis, I rotate a heel. In parts 2 and 3, we'll talk more about the knee. We'll talk more about like what needs to happen at the knee, and then we'll also talk about center of mass and what's going on at the ribs that's causing some of this as well. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. If it's helpful, give it a share or something like that, and yeah, we'll see you in part 2.